I was pulled over by one of the deputy heads and asked, "What are your opinions on the Islamic State?"
I was walking down the corridor, and randomly the assistant head teacher pulled me over, and with a smirk on his face asked me, "When am I going to Syria?"
We were treated differently. We were isolated from other students. We were made to feel like we were a burden on the other students for wanting a prayer space, despite the space being available.
Sisters being asked, "When are you going to become a jihadi's bride?" You know, being questioned of, "Why are you wearing the hijab?" The campaign was a collaboration of alumni students that came together for the core reason of getting justice for students, and both current and ex-students. So we came together because we realized we were all tied by this common experience of Islamophobia, and there was only one way of getting justice, and that was through this campaign.
There were sort of systematic bans on segregation, and then there was a ban on Jummah salahs, and then there was a ban on using the main hall, and we moved to the hall upstairs, the classroom upstairs. And then all together at the end of the year in 2015, that's when the prayer space was banned.
But they instated a series of, unnecessary rules. So that included screening the sermon, that included everything had to be done in English, that included monitoring of who was coming in and who wasn't coming in, that included staff being present during every single prayer. So it felt like a level of security that just wasn't needed. It felt like a level of security that looked at students in a way that we were doing something suspicious just for praying.
Unfortunately, it's a continuous experience of Muslim students where they are continuously treated as suspects. They are treated as criminals simply for wanting to practice their faith. So it's time that this behavior of Islamophobia by the senior leadership team and anyone else in LAE stops, and that the alumni as well as other students get their justice.
My friends and I were taken to a certain teacher's office room, and he directly asked us, after Shamima had left for Syria, whether we knew her, whether we have ever come across her name, or whether we were in any way in contact with her. And it was really outrageous because she comes from the Bethnal Green area and we come from the other East End. There was no way for us to be related to her or to know of her. And he made that assumption, and that was the time when we realized that this teacher is not looking at us as a teacher or a safeguarding staff. He's looking at us with the lens of suspicion, and it was really heartbreaking.
On another occasion, the same teacher actually pulled me over after I finished praying, and he was interrogating me about my views on the Charlie Hebdo attacks. And again, for me, it was like, is he asking me these questions because he sees me as a potential extremist, or is he asking me these questions because I was visibly Muslim? And so these interrogations and just policing Muslim students continuously happened, and I think it's time that it stops, and that we, the alumni, need to get justice for how we were treated.
I don't think it's taken so long for students to come forward. I think it's taken so long for people to listen.
This experience was so scary and traumatizing and awful that I blocked it off my mind for a long time. And if anyone would ever ask me, you wear a face veil now, have you ever experienced Islamophobia because of it? I would say no, I've never experienced Islamophobia in general, as if it never happened, until the conversations about all the experiences that we had at LAE came back. And that's when I realized, okay, the policies that were put in place in that school and the things that the teachers were doing to us, that's what Islamophobia is. That's what institutional Islamophobia is. If I'm going to be honest about it, me wearing a face veil for the past, 3-4 years, I haven't faced as much Islamophobia as I did in those 2 years at LAE.